I'm doing a very impromptu live uh, call. I'll be doing these more often. Um, Here we go. Sorry, just trying to see here. Hello, everyone. Most of you will be watching this. Um, most of you will be watching this uh, recorded. Sorry, my eyesight. Once it's recorded. But hello, and I am happy to be here. I have decided to do some new stuff, especially around Yeshua and his teachings. So I wanted to start doing some live YouTube events connecting into hi you guys, hi everyone. Um, I'm gonna jump out of here for a second. Um, Sorry, just getting my bearings. Sorry about that. Um, Let me start over. Let me start with what's happening here and what I'm really wanting to do going forward. I have, as some of you know, I've been connecting and writing a book with Jesus, with Yeshua, the last 8 months, 7 months. And as I am starting to edit the book, I've been able to integrate or embody a lot of Yeshua's teachings. I feel him moving through me. I feel him speaking through me. I can feel him in me more and more. And the more that I am feeling him move through me, the more challenging it becomes to do the things that are not in full alignment or authentically aligned with his frequency, his voice, his teachings. And so for the last 8 months, I have been battling authenticity and showing up in what feels like my most authentic way. Like what I really just want to talk about is Jesus and his teachings. And I'm talking about teachings that are not spoken of in the Bible, and still trying to squeeze myself into how I used to show up, what I used to share, what I used to teach. And it's been very, very difficult and very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable, squeezing myself into how I used to be so that people continue to listen and they continue to follow and they continue to like, and it has become almost impossible for me. And last night when I was laying in bed, it was like 2 a.m. and I kept feeling this fight. I was internal fight where I was trying to squeeze myself into how I thought I was supposed to be, how I thought I was supposed to teach this, how I thought I was supposed to bring this out into the world. But it felt so inauthentic. It felt so, and I'm not, and I can't be inauthentic. I can't do things that don't feel in alignment. The best thing that we can do for ourselves is just be ourselves and let ourselves share from that authentic, vulnerable, honest place. I mean, that's how I want to be in my teachings. And so I found myself over the months not being authentic, like just feeling like I was trying to navigate teaching about Jesus and what he wants to share with the world. And the uncomfortableness became too much. You know, I have the show, the Lori Ladd show, and it just hasn't felt right for months. I feel like I'm trying to squeeze myself into something. I feel like I'm trying to figure out how to do what the world wants me to do and how to create thumbnails and titles. And I, I was laying in bed last night and I was like, I'm just going to strip all of it. I'm just going to strip it all and just start to talk about Jesus and his teachings because, Lori, that's what's most important. It doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't matter how they perceive it. It doesn't matter their comments. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you begin to share the frequency, the teachings that Jesus is here to share with people around the evolutionary shift in our consciousness. And if you've ever tried to talk about Jesus to people, it's extremely difficult. It is perhaps the most difficult word, name, and subject to broach with people. Um, and where I have found myself is trying to balance or walk the middle line with Yeshua, because what he has taught me this past year is not new age and it's not religious. What I have committed and spent hours upon hours doing this past year was understanding how he wanted me to understand him. And so I was trying to fit how I wanted to see it into the way he was teaching me. So I was trying to make it make sense to me, like what needs to be more of like the new agey type of way of being, but it wasn't. And then I was like, okay, so maybe it's this religious piece, and it wasn't. And so I sat with him and he goes, it's neither, Lori. I'm neither. I'm not the religious piece and I'm not the new age. I want to share something new with the world through you. And this came through in May of last year when I was in Jerusalem. When I was getting baptized, he said, "You're going to be writing with me. You're going to be teaching with me. And you're going to be teaching things I want to share with humanity that will not fit in to the new age spiritual kind of self-help space, and it won't fit into the religious space. You're going to be on your own. You're going to have to do this in your own um, container." And so it's taken me a year of deep study with him, deep commitment. I've given my life to learning how he wants me to share his teachings because I believe they're that important. And so after a year, I'm finally coming to the place where I feel confident enough to begin to fully embrace and integrate his teachings to all of you, and to allow him to speak through me. It's very, very difficult in this day and age to teach and to share on social media. If you're doing it, you understand. If you're not doing it, you don't understand. Either way, it is extremely difficult. Not only are you combating an energetic frequency that is designed to pull you from your truth and authenticity with infiltrated thought, but you are also battling systems within that frame uh, that holds really powerful program. And so it becomes very difficult to remain authentic. Becomes very difficult to remain aligned in truth. Becomes very difficult to not be bombarded by insecurity, doubt, pride, ego, that sort of stuff. And I have been trying to figure out how. I've been waiting really for Yeshua to say, okay, this is how you're going to do it. It's time. Just do it. Yeshua never worries about the details like, oh, make sure your thumbnail is pretty. Make sure you do it every day consistently, Lori. Make sure that's not important. What's important is authenticity, that I am confident, grounded in the teaching, compassionate in the awareness of who's listening, and authentic, honest. And I believe I'm there now. I believe I'm here, or at least I'm beginning I'm starting to step into the journey and process of fully embracing Yeshua and my teaching, Yeshua's teachings through me. Um, and so that's the long way around saying, welcome to a new rendition of my teachings here on YouTube. And I'm calling them the teachings with Jesus. Number one is today. I feel lighter. I feel freer. I feel open. I feel excited. I feel curious. I feel like a weight has been lifted off of me. I may or may not continue the Lori Ladd show. Believe it or not, energetically, everything either is in congruence and flow with me, or there's a resistance. And there's been a resistance to the Lori Ladd show. There's been a resistance to Untangled. And so it's like trying to squeeze myself into something that just doesn't feel right anymore. And this right here, just me talking to whoever's listening to this live, whoever's listening to this on the replay, this feels right. And this is this is how I want to begin to share the teachings that most of humanity have forgotten and that Jesus wants to share. And the reason that there has been trepidation from within myself, resistance, wanting it to feel right within my own beingness is because most of what I am going to be sharing in the book that we wrote together, Jesus Speaks, such an incredible book. But the teachings that are coming through is that they are new. They are not something that humanity is practicing. They challenge both sides of the spiritual walk. They challenge the new age. They challenge the religious. Um, they're new concepts. And, I always say to Yeshua, if I just had you with me, yeah, it would be much easier. you know, um, it would be so much easier if you were just right here. Uh, but he's not. And so the amount of confidence that I have had to integrate into my being, the confidence in his words, the confidence in him, the confidence in his teachings, because they are not something that anybody else is sharing. So I can't lean on anything else. I have to lean on him. I have to lean on my experiences that I've had with him. I have to go all in with him, which is what we are going to be doing. And so this first show that we're doing today, I don't know when they're going to happen next. I'm not going to have a structure, but if you are here, you were called to somehow pop in and somehow you were guided to this. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so that you will continue to know when I go live and when I share these teachings. These teachings will change your life. The teachings in the Bible were kindergarten compared to the teachings that Jesus shared back then. The majority of his teachings were not written. They were lost, or they were misrepresented, or they just simply weren't written down. 3 years of his ministry, and we have very little to go off of. Granted, an entire religion was created from his teachings, but those were just the beginning of his teachings. That was just the beginning of his purpose on the planet. He had planted the seeds. He had hoped that some of the more advanced teachings would permeate out. But you have to understand the advanced teachings were designed, are designed to free humanity. And there is no way in God's beautiful green earth that the humans controlling the planet were going to allow for his advanced teachings to be told. No way. because they would literally be the key that would liberate humanity. And so religions were born out of his teachings. Religions were born before his teachings. But most religions were born within the confines of an infiltrated and manipulated planet, designed to make sure humanity forgot how they stay aligned and connected to their divinity within and the divinity without. So, regardless of whether the religion started prior to Jesus's incarnation, thousands of years prior, or any time after, all religious programming on the planet from 7,000 years on has been infiltrated for the sole purpose of keeping you and I away from our divine, aligned connection, our natural state. Yeshua's incarnation on the planet held the signature of freeing, liberating, saving humanity from the inverted matrix that you and I currently live in. The majority of his teachings were about that liberation. What was captured and kept was the very small, profound teachings that still held humanity in the confines of the illusion, the inverted matrix, the disconnection to Creator and to their own divinity. So make no mistake, Yeshua did die for us. He died for us. He died to make the statement. He died to show us that he can resurrect and then ascend as God in form so that we would believe his teachings. It's like if I could do magic and show you, look at, I'm real, look at, I'm real, look at, I'm real, look at, I'm real. I promise you I'm real. It's like how many miracles, how many, magic tricks, so to speak, did he have to do for humanity to say, you know what, he might be God. God literally incarnated to show us the inverted matrix, the inorganic timeline that you and I have been in, which is what we will explore and dive into on this channel for the next however many months. And as I continue to edit the book, we will read the book here. We will feel Yeshua here. We will let Yeshua come through. We will remember the the drive that I had during COVID to wake people up, to remind humanity they didn't need to follow what the world was telling them. That drive that I had back then, I have now but tenfold, because the lie that you and I have been living in is way more detrimental than the lie that they gave us during COVID. They have stolen, truly stolen, our divine aligned connection to Creator, to God. Sure, we are always and can never be disconnected from God. Yes, we are an aspect of God, but there is a divine design in the human body that is innately created to hold the God light within it, activating your divinity, your godlikeness, so that you could be in a physical reality, a dualistic, polarized physical reality, while maintaining the awareness and the ability to be connected to God and to start living God like, not living as God, living God like. It's innately in your physical body. The body was designed to be able to hold this. Just like your heart and your lungs and your organs, everything has a purpose. The God particle has a purpose in your body. The holy light of God has a purpose inside the body. There is a divine connection, divine cord between your physical body and the creator and God's source. That is infiltrated and has been infiltrated for thousands of years. They took that, they diluted it. The amount of light coming in is almost insignificant right now. So humanity has been on the unconscious blind path, inorganic path, and we are currently waking up. We are currently remembering. We are slowly beginning to come back to that remembrance within us, that there is this particle within you and there is this divine connection that needs to be reactivated or plugged back in a way. It's never been unplugged, but there needs to be an awareness, there needs to be an understanding, there needs to be a remembrance that you hold the keys to all of this, that your remembrance is the beginning of your recalibration back into being slowly being godlike in human form, which is what so many people are calling this Christ consciousness. It requires an awareness of the spiritual battle, because if the human is not aware of the spiritual battle, the human will not understand what is pulling them from Christ, what's pulling them from God, what's pulling them from that consciousness that flows through their body. And so it doesn't matter if you have all of the fancy terminology and all of the fancy knowledge if you don't understand what is actually diluting all of that in the body. See, you could understand what's happening with like, say your heart has issues, right? You could understand, no, my heart's supposed to be great. My heart is so good. My heart works like this and it does this and I have a heart but if you don't actually understand what is making the heart sick, you're not going to be able to fix the heart. You'll just keep talking about how great your heart is and you have a heart and you're moving and your heart's going to be better and bigger and amazing and you're talking about something. You have an awareness about something, but you don't understand why the heart yet has not functioned properly. We can talk all day long about God consciousness, Christ consciousness. I am God. God's moving and breathing in me. I'm becoming more Christ-like. We can do all of that. But if we are not actually going to the root of what pulled us from that in the first place, we will remain disconnected from the truth and from the experience of embodying it. Understanding the root cause of what pulled us from our divinity and understanding how to come back into alignment with that divinity in the midst of a chaotic spiritual battle that will continue to pull you is key. That is what Jesus taught. That is what Jesus taught. His entire teachings, whether you want to go as quantum as he went, because he was a quantum magician, or as fundamental and foundational as you want to go, which is forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Either way, his entire purpose was to shift humanity's timeline, the timeline that humanity was pulled into, the inverted matrix, the uh, alternate timeline that was created. And the challenge of doing that, well, I mean, say his name. Look, watch what happens in a room. Walk into a room and say, I love Jesus, and watch what happens. The amount of distortion and programming that has occurred on this planet to keep you and I in the forgetfulness of not only Yeshua's role, but the mind-blowing tactics that they pulled off is unbelievable. I have spent my whole life aware of all the nonsense on the planet, way before most of humanity did. Way before. I knew everything before most at a very young age. This information that Yeshua has shared with me, which I'm so grateful for, has blown my mind. There's no amount of galactic wars and galactic beings and, like, disclosure coming. There's no amount of like government conspiracy, takeover, satanic ritual, reptilian shape shifting that is more mind blowing than the inception of the spiritual battle that pulled the entire planet out of alignment with God. Nothing else matters but understanding this. Nothing. Nothing else matters. Everything else is stories that we can play in. Everything else is sort of like the desserts that we can get caught up in. And by the way, they want you to. They want you to stay entertained, arguing, debating, fighting, killing, protesting for anything other than what Yeshua was here to teach. The understanding of the spiritual battle, how it happened, how it began, what they did, and what they are currently continuing to do after 7,000 years. And when you start hearing it, when you start letting it sink in, there will be a large percentage of your mind that will convince you it's not true, it's impossible. You will experience a lot of infiltrated thoughts. But the more that I believe, the more that we hear it, the more that I speak about it, the more that I talk about it, the more that Yeshua talks about it, the more that it comes out, the more humanity will sit with it and say, hold on a second. Maybe this is true. Maybe it will take 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. But in my opinion and in my intuitiveness and in my body, sitting with Jesus, walking with Jesus, writing with Jesus, spending my time with him more than anything else, this is what will liberate humanity. And so we're going to peel it back. We're going to dive into it. We're going to go piece by piece. We're going to argue about it. We're going to debate about it. We're going to have discussions on sin. We're going to have discussions on demons. We're going to have discussions on love and compassion, kindness, service. We're going to dive into all of it. And God will spread this wherever it needs to go, and whoever needs to hear it will hear it. Um, One of the things that uh, I have had to practice in my walk with Yeshua is surrendering, completely surrendering to God and to Jesus. Surrendering to the timing of things, to surrendering to the how of things, surrendering to the why of things, surrendering to all of it. And we live in a culture, we live in a world that has really deeply programmed us as to how we're supposed to do things. And I don't care who you are, most of us follow it. Just look around. We follow. We do the things that we think will create what it is that we want in this world. And Yeshua works differently than that. It doesn't matter what works in the world or what doesn't. None of that matters. What matters is my alignment with the frequency of God, my alignment and embodiment and foundational groundedness with God. And how often is it pulled? Yeshua always says to me, when you're ready, you'll be ready. You're not ready until you're ready. I'll tell you when you're ready." So there's these baby steps that he walks me through. And it's not until I'm actually energetically anchored into the next state or the next space that he's like, "Okay, you're ready now. Now go do this, right? Now you can teach. Now you can do these YouTube lives." It's not until there's this click within my awareness, within my physical body, within the frequency I'm holding, where I feel, okay, now it feels time. And then it's the yes from him of go. You're ready. I have no problem whatsoever of saying that I don't do anything until Yeshua says it's time. I don't have any qualms saying I don't want to make any decisions in my life anymore. I give it all to Yeshua. I mean, I make decisions like, am I gonna go rescue a dog, things like that, but I'm always checking in with Yeshua first. Why is that? Because I understand the spiritual battle. I understand the way infiltration of thought works. I understand the 7 deadly sins, which we'll dive into. I understand greed and pride, gluttony. I understand temptation. And I understand that I am infiltrated by all that I am programmed. There's no amount of me being able to pretend that I'm not that gets me out of it. The pure light of God coming into my body wakes me out of it. And then when that happens, I then have to give my awareness, my focus, my next right step to that light. Because if I don't, I'm giving it to the spiritual battle, to the infiltration. It's that simple and it's very, very difficult. Learning how to hand life to the light of God over my own perception of what's best for me, perhaps the biggest obstacle most of humanity will find themselves in. Hopefully not. There is a beautiful life waiting for all of humanity. This planet will get to the place that they are designed to be at. Humanity will find themselves completely aligned and connected to the light of God in and around them. Humanity will find themselves walking back into their divinity. Humanity will begin to feel godlike ways in their lives. I don't know when. I don't know how long this will take, but this planet is going to recalibrate themselves back into their divine order. 100% this is happening. You and I just happen to be on the planet at a time where there is a turning point, there is a precipice, there is a massive earthquake-like split. The organic God timeline is popping up, almost like, yeah, like an earthquake, right? That creates this crack. There's a crack in the inverted matrix in the illusion, and this crack is opening us up to wait, pulling us ever so gently back to our divine nature. And unfortunately, or fortunately, your own perception, your own control, your own manifestation abilities, your own persona doing it will not do it. Humanity does and will be required to hand over their persona and control to the light of God. That's the only way that there is a dance between person and God. And the integration of Christ light, Christ consciousness, God-like ways of being, the integration of that, it is an integration. It's light merging with light. It's your human persona, which is a frequency, merging with the high frequency of light. When those two decide to merge, dance, become one as the light of God filters into your body, you will have to let go of being the one in charge because you actually don't know how to do the higher way of being that God does, this higher light. And so we've been taught in the spiritual community that it's the higher self that comes in and we hand it to the higher self and the higher self takes it. And so I'm just going to listen and I'm going to be the one that says yes or no and I'm going to be the one controlling the whole thing and doing the whole thing. This level of commitment, surrender and awareness requires that all to crumble. All of it. All of the ways that we have seen or we have thought the path to be, it's gonna have to crumble. And so whether it crumbles or not at some point down the road, I don't know when, but it's gonna crumble on all sides. It has to implode upon itself in order for the truth to be birthed. And the truth is that God's light is the most omnipresent, intelligent, pure frequency that humanity can integrate, consume, breathe, walk in. And when it starts to come in, and it is coming in for a lot of humanity, when it starts to come in, um, you will know what surrender is. You'll know what your true nature is. You'll start feeling it more and more. You'll start to be able to tell the difference between the reality that we've been living in and the true reality. Like you'll start to really see the dissonance, um, the drastic shift, drastic shift. Anyway, I am going to just close that for now. I would love to just say hello and let's see. Um, I'm trying to see if the comments, if there is anyone um, that has a quick question, I can answer that really quickly and then I'm going to jump off. Again, this is something new that I am going to be doing quite regularly. The teachings with Jesus. So I don't know when, I don't know what days and what times. And so if you are not subscribed to my channel, by all means, subscribe and you will be notified. Um, and thank you, Carolyn, for that love. I receive it, I take it. Um, and hopefully what this next rendition of my presence here on YouTube will do is that it will offer you the ability to send these videos to people that are curious um, about Jesus and his teachings and what he came here for. Um, yes, I will still do my show tomorrow, but in all honesty, I may not do them going forward. It just doesn't, I don't know what it is, but I just may be doing these. Um, how do I clear the infiltration? It feels very heavy. Hi, Amy. You're not alone, my friend. You're not alone. And by the way, it's not yours and it's not your fault. If there is anything that you can take from that question, it's not your fault, right? Most of what we think and most of what we feel and most of how we behave, it's actually not our fault. And so infiltration can feel like you're being suffocated, um, like you're being pulled in two directions, like you're trying to fight for you, right? It can feel like you're at this point, it can feel like you're literally fighting for your life in ways. And so my recommendation is, first of all, I want you to remember the light of God, the light of all creation, the light of every single thing we see is more powerful than that infiltration. So I want you to first just hold that. Okay? That okay, so God is this pure light, this powerful, potent, pure light. Okay. I want you to also then start recognizing, holding faith or truth that if I call this light in, as silly as that is, this light moving into my brain, into my mind, into my body has the potential to clear the infiltration. It wants to. It wants to. The third thing you want to recognize is if you don't believe that to be so, your mind will override it. So you need faith. You need to be so fed up with it, Amy, that you're just like, you know what? I'm so sick and tired of this, and screw all of you for doing this to me. Literally, we're not a victim, but we are in a spiritual battle. They are infiltrating your mind. I hate to tell you this, but they are, and they have been, and they're laughing behind the scenes because you forget. So, no, no more, no more, no more. Believe in the power of the light of God. Believe that when you pull it in all day long, when you're having those thoughts, that the light of God is literally bathing your mind with those distorted thought forms. Believe it so heavily, Amy. Believe it to be such an absolute truth that it does what it's here to do. There is no solution to this infiltrated battle that is more powerful and potent than the light of God. You have to put all of your eggs in that basket. You know, one of the greatest things that Jesus was able to do is he was able to do miracles, right? He was able to basically sit in front of you, Amy, and he would basically take whatever it was away from you. What was he doing? He was literally igniting the light of God in you without you knowing. There are stories of people back in the day that when they met Jesus, when they saw Jesus, immediately, instantaneously, they were healed. Why? Because he permeated the light of God out from him. And the human consumed, like took it in. And the light of God is that powerful that instantaneously the nonsense in our minds and in our bodies can dissolve. Now, of course, it doesn't happen overnight for a lot of us. It can, but it doesn't. Hold faith, Amy. Hold the knowingness that you have been infiltrated. That's okay. We all have. Hold the faith that you are breaking out of it, that you are liberating yourself out of it. Hold the knowingness, my friend, that it's a roller coaster. What that means is there are days where you will feel like it's leaving, and there are days where it may try to squeak back in. Very normal. Don't quit before the actual miracle integrates into your body. Right? So If you do this, my friend, if you follow that, if you call the light of God in, if you understand the power of that pure divine light, if you know that it's coming into your mind, if you know that it can't wait to clear that out, you do it all the time, you hand it all over, you remember this. You're fighting for you. I don't care what spiritual jargon people say, like, you shouldn't be fighting. It's not a good frequency to hold. Yeah, get out of my way. I'm actually battling these infiltrated archonic thoughts. So I'm good. In fact, I've never been better recognizing what I'm in. Of course, you don't want to be in fear and you don't want to be like resistant, but you want to be confident. You want to be sovereign. You want to be strong. You want to remember, wait a second. We have the light of God at our fingertips. What are we doing? We have the light of God in our fingertips. Bring it in. Turn that faucet on. In fact, Amy, one last thing. One last thing, my friend. When you're in the shower, okay, or when you're in a bathtub, but a shower works better. I want you to imagine when you're in there, my friend. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to stand under the water for a moment. And if you are resonant with Jesus, if you like the guy, if you want to bring him in, invite Jesus in that moment. And then I want you to invite the light of God into your body. I'm inviting the light of God to rush over me. I'm inviting the light of God to move through my body. I'm inviting the light of God to soften my mind. I'm inviting the light of God to clear out all distorted, infiltrated thoughts now. God, I know you do this. I know you're here with me. I know this is your job. I know that it is not up to me. God, I hand you all of it. Clear it from me. And just keep doing that. This is a job for God, not a job for Amy. Okay? This is a job for God. It's not a job for Amy. Let God do the job God's designed to do. And when you start doing that and you start trusting and all of a sudden you start receiving the miracles, you're going to be like, it works. Yeah, it works. It works because I've seen it work in my life. It works. I've seen it work in other people's lives. Why do you think Jesus is so famous? you know? Oh, Matt, I'm so happy to hear that. I never vanished God and Jesus from my life. Yay. Amen. Walk boldly with God. Walk boldly with Jesus. Um, yeah, very cool. Happy to be here with you guys. Amy, thank you for asking your question. I'm sure there's a lot of people here that will listen and resonate as we have all been infiltrated. Nothing wrong with that. We want to get to the root cause. We don't want to be playing around in all the loops that they want to keep us in. So let's commit to continuing to do this. Let's commit to walking this path. Um, and let's commit to remembering, having the courage to remember. He was an energetic master. You know, I'm writing this chapter. I'm on a chapter right now where he's talking about his life and his trainings and everything he learned. Um, and it's fascinating what he had to how he had to prepare himself to be able to like fully hold the holy light, the pure Holy Spirit of God. Very, very cool. Very cool. We'll talk more about that. Stay tuned, you guys. Again, this is Teachings with Jesus #1. And we are going to do many, 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 many more of these. So subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, you will have no idea um, when I go live. These will not be scheduled. We are going to live and walk the way Jesus lived and walked, which is no schedule. Um, uh, I love you, and I'll see you guys next time. Mwah. Take care.